Hello, everybody. Welcome to our chat show where we get to know COVID workers and what life has been like for them during this ongoing pandemic. And today we're extremely lucky to have with us Dr. Joyita Basu, who is the co-founder and director of Doctors Hub. She is extremely skilled in healthcare consulting, clinical research, medical education, medicine, and working with physicians. And one thing that I would like to bring to your notice is she's a bit of a Twitter celebrity, and she's been working very, very hard to do a lot of patient education around COVID and in general as well, because all of us were feeling a bit lost. We weren't quite sure, since we're not experts, we're lay folks. We weren't necessarily sure about what sort of precautions to take. What is this double masking? Is the pandemic even real? There were questions like that floating around. So we were very grateful to have somebody like you, doctor, who is working at the front lines and doing so much work online as well to educate us. So thank you so much for all your service.
Thank you for having me on the show.
No, absolutely, doctor. So shall we jump straight into it?
Absolutely.
Yes. Doctor, so I'd love to, learn a little bit about your work last year and the impact that it has had on you as somebody who's been on the front lines, like I said. Has there been any major difference in the way, your work and your mental health was impacted in wave 1 versus wave 2?
Okay, so the last year has been pretty hectic in many ways. Number one, first we have to learn about the new disease. So that was new, and we have to keep up with the new, every day newer studies are coming out. We are getting to know newer treatment modalities. We're getting to know newer things about the virus. So keeping up with the virus, keeping up with the study part of it, as well as looking after patients, taking care of them, addressing their issues. So life has become more hectic for all of us. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest change that I've found in the last 1 year. Secondly, yes, wearing a mask at all times, wearing a PPE suit for major part of last year, not anymore this year, but major part of last year in the Delhi summer humid weather was tough. But yeah, we've got used to it now. We are taking it in our stride. We've got used to it. The mask, we know it's safe for us and it's going to keep us, it will prevent us from catching the virus. So definitely it's good for us. So we've learned how to make do with the mask and wear it round the clock as long as we're working in clinic.
Right. Doctor, was the first wave of COVID very different from you from the second wave of COVID? Now that we're a bit more informed about things and we can take a lot more precautionary measures, there are setups in place, as opposed to, last year where we were completely caught unaware. Would you say that life has changed a lot between these two waves?
So life has changed in many ways between these two waves. The first wave, people were more cautious. They were scared of the variant. They were scared of the COVID. They wore their masks. They maintained social distance. Nobody traveled out. Nobody went out. As compared to the second variant, people just, once the case numbers started going down in December, late December, people threw caution to the winds. They were socializing. They were going for weddings. There were holy parties. And well, then the second wave happened, and it is all related to human behavior. So they weren't wearing masks, they weren't maintaining distance. So that's why the second wave happened. And the second wave happened because there was a newer variant as compared to the previous variant, the wild variant, as we call it. The first COVID-19, that was the SARS-CoV-2, was the wild variant. Then it mutated into various variants, and we got into the alpha variant, which is the British variant, which came traveling with all the folks who came traveling from the UK into India. It mutated and it converted into the Delta variant as we now know it. This is a more severe variant. It's a more transmissible variant. It has 70% more transmissibility than the alpha variant. Yeah. That means it infects more people, and it infects more people quickly, number one. Number two, it produces a more severe disease. And that's scary because that involves, that causes a higher risk of hospitalization. And as we saw, more patients got admitted in the hospital. The hospital healthcare system was overwhelmed. We didn't have beds. We didn't have oxygen. Right. So it was very tough. I think the second wave was more tough than the first wave.
Right. I can imagine. And doctor, what are some general concerns of the medical fraternity over the last year? What has the pandemic been like for you? Because we often hear about the other side, right? We're talking about patients, we're talking about general public. But what has it been like for doctors? I would love to, hear any case details that you would like to share with us as well.
So for us, as I said, it's a new virus, it's a new disease. And we really don't know, we didn't really know much about the disease when it started last year. And as the months have progressed, we are learning more and more, and there are newer things coming to light. And with every new variant, there are new features as far as the variants bring about. And again, we need to learn. So most of the time, we've been second guessing ourselves. So as you can see, the treatment modalities have been changing. First, there was the HCQS. Then we debunked that theory. Then they came with azithromycin. Then they came with doxycycline. Then they came with plasma. They came with ivermectin. And as we learn more, we are debunking all those myths and saying, no, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. So it does show us up in poor light, but it's also work in progress. I mean, as we research, as we study, we know oxygen works. We know the steroids work. We know tocilizumab works. We know now that the monoclonal antibody cocktail works. And we also know what doesn't work. It's very important to know that these are the things that don't work and we don't need to use it any longer. So our treatment modalities has been changing as we learn newer and newer things. So it's been an exciting period, but it's also been a scary period. It's been a sad period. It's been addressing a lot of issues with people who've lost their near and dear ones. It's also been tough on me personally because I wasn't able to meet my mother for more than a year. Till I got vaccinated, I got both my doses. So I last met my mother in December 2019, and then I met her in March. And that's a long period to, not meet your parent for some time. So, sorry. Sorry, something happened. Yeah. So that's a long period to not meet your mother. And till I got fully vaccinated, because she is elderly, she has comorbidities, and I have to be very, very careful because I'm a frontline worker. So I had to be absolutely sure that, I hadn't seen any patients for 15 days. It had been 2 weeks up after my second dose that I could go meet her and get her vaccinated also. So it was tough for most of us, without being able to meet our near and dear ones. And yes, so
yes, doctor, we often forget that doctors and frontline workers are people too, with families who are wanting to meet their parents, wanting to be with their loved ones. Yes. And the amount of sacrifices that all of you are making in order to keep us afloat it is truly, truly commendable. You did mention some feelings of guilt and helping folks deal with their grief and being surrounded with so much death as well. How did you cope with those feelings, doctor? I cannot imagine how difficult that must have been for you.
No, as I said, we were always second guessing ourselves. I mean, are we doing the right thing? Are we giving the right medicine? As I said, we've been debunking some theories and learning newer and newer medicines which work and medicines which don't work. Till we don't get a concrete result of what works and what doesn't work, you're just going with what is being used everywhere, what ICMR lays out, what All India Institute of Medical Sciences gives out protocols. So we follow those protocols. Also, there are times when, people have lost their loved ones, and then they come back to you and they say, what could we have done different? And I never want to tell them that you didn't wear your mask. It's difficult not to tell, but that is basic human behavior. Don't socialize. Don't maintain social distance. Wear your mask properly. Very simple. These are 3 very simple instructions that have been laid out right from the very beginning, from March last year. And all because people don't follow these 3 simple steps, they get into trouble.
Right.
And it's difficult to tell them that because it just adds to their guilt. So, and also it adds to our guilt, because what are we doing? We are trying our best, but sometimes, like in the second wave, I had many patients who didn't get a hospital bed, who didn't get oxygen in time. So those are the guilt that we are going to live with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So, yes. It's we are still dealing with it. I mean, I don't think it has hit us as yet, because we are still
It's
going
still
through the process. It's not over. It's not over as yet. When the
yeah.
pandemic is over, I think
Yeah.
more of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, will come up amongst all the healthcare workers.
I can absolutely, doctor. And like we're in the middle of that crisis, and there's no time for doctors to even sit and grieve, or to even sit with their feelings, right, for extended periods of
Absolutely.
time. Because next day morning, you're going to have to show up for duty. You're going to have to show up for all the patients who are relying on you for their lives.
Yes.
Yes, I fully hear you, doctor. So I would like to understand a bit more about the mental health needs of the medical fraternity. What would you want to share about your own mental health needs? Maybe like you did express that being away from family and loved ones, and specifically your mother, was challenging for you. So I mean, we often forget that mental health is just as part of a person's being as physical health is. And just like there is a pandemic happening where our physical health is compromised, as is our mental health. So, doctor, if you could shed some light on, the mental health of the medical fraternity.
So, as far as the medical fraternity is concerned, most of my colleagues have been. We all have self doubts. We all are wondering. We are all second guessing ourselves. Number one, and number two, self doubt in the medical profession is not a good thing. When you're doubting yourself, it's not good. It's not a good feeling to have. The third thing, all of us are keeping crazy hours. I find my sleep pattern has been disturbed, and so has many of my colleagues. Third thing, a lot of my colleagues are not sure whether they can handle the third wave. The second wave was really tough for a lot of them, for a lot of us, and we just plowed through. I mean, at that time, we didn't have a choice. We just had to plow through, and we had to do the needful. But now, when they revisit it, they say we don't think we can go through. We can handle a second or third wave. As far as I'm concerned, I have my. I was talking about it to someone else the other day, that my sleep pattern is disturbed. Other than that, my biggest fear is that I'm doubting myself. As a professional, I'm doubting myself, which is never good. I've never ever had to doubt myself. So that's something which disturbs me. And as I said, we'll all be facing PTSD after 6-7 months. But at present, we need to keep our neck up, keep our chin up, keep our heads up, keep our self motivated, and keep going.
Yeah. Doctor, I have nothing but gratitude for the medical fraternity, for just soldiering through for the sake of the rest of us. And your insistence that all the doctors are asking for really is maintain social distancing, wear your masks, be careful, don't socialize right now. Meet folks online, right?
Absolutely, meet folks online. Yes.
Yeah, and I understand that people are just getting restless, but what is the alternative? The alternative is a horrible third wave, like an impending doom, which is not what anybody wants. The longer we stay in, the sooner we'll be able to step out. So, doctor, absolutely. And in the light of all of this, then you hear of violence against doctors. It's heartbreaking to see that sort of blame towards doctors, as though they are somehow orchestrating this whole thing, right? How does that make you feel, doctor? What sort of impact does that kind of news have on you?
Violence against doctors, violence against anybody is unacceptable. Number one, violence against anybody is unacceptable, right? And violence against doctors, because the patient didn't listen to us. I mean, what part of wear a mask, what part of social distance, what part of washing your hands is difficult to understand? It's not difficult to understand. And it's been laid out in English, Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, all regional languages. It's very easy to understand. We have been telling the population, the people, that this is a new virus. There's not much that we know about it. As the days and months go, we learn more and more. Till that time, give us time. Till that time, just wear your mask properly, continue to social distance, and wash your hands. It's not difficult to understand. It's not rocket science. And just because you don't want to do those things, you have a problem, you come into the hospital. If you're, COVID is something that can be fatal. You know that COVID is something which can destroy your lungs. You know, many people don't survive COVID. I don't understand the mentality. I don't understand the violence. I mean, even the oxygen part of it, people were breaking up hospitals because there was no oxygen supply. What has a doctor got to do with the oxygen supply in the hospital? That's the management. That's the government.
Yeah.
The doctor is there to just treat. I have had colleagues of mine who have stood in the ICU when the oxygen has gone with ambu bags. Ambu bags are these bags which they, put in the mask, and they've been pumping oxygen continuously for 2, 3, 4 hours. It is not easy to do that. It is not easy to do that. We've lost our own colleagues to COVID because there was no oxygen supply. I mean, how does violence against doctors help anybody? There's just fewer number of us. The doctor who's been attacked will be in hospital for a few days. You'll have one less doctor to look after the population.
Correct.
So,
yeah, doctor, like grief and anger is so irrational, and it's making people act out in ways that is actually detrimental to them and to other folks. Like you said, violence against anybody is not the solution. Nobody deserves that.
yeah, absolutely. It's not acceptable. Yeah.
It isn't. No, and it must be so disturbing. So I have a few friends within the fraternity as well, and they were sharing as to how it's very disheartening then to see that and then have to go back to the hospital again the next day as though nothing has happened, and as though everything is normal. And yeah, it's unimaginable, doctor. So what can self-care and institutional care look like for doctors at a time like this? And you have said that right now there's no time, there's almost no breathing space to even think of yourself. As a doctor, it's more about, okay, I need to get to the hospital, I need to take care of my patients, I need to be there for them. How can individuals, citizens and communities support you better and support the medical fraternity better, apart from, of course, following the 3 golden rules that doctors have been stressing upon since the beginning of the pandemic, since March last year? And you have also been doing some fantastic work of educating us on the latest developments on Twitter. You've been really simplifying that for the layperson, right? Because often when you hear of something like double masking, you're like, why should I do it? Like, what are these 2 masks? First, they had said only 1 mask, I'll wear only 1 mask. And we'd all also gotten into this whole rigmarole of buying these fancy, beautiful masks and wearing matching masks with the clothes. And now suddenly we're saying N95, etc. Right? So you've been working very hard to address all of this. How do we help you, doctor? And what can self-care even look like for doctors at a time like this?
You can help us, like you yourself said. You can help us by double masking, by maintaining the distance, washing your hands, and ensuring that you are safe and you don't catch COVID. So once you do that, our job is simplified, number 1. Number 2, I wish you wouldn't take it out on us. I mean, we are just, no doctor wants to willfully harm a patient. No doctor wants to, it spoils his reputation. It spoils his or her reputation. No doctor wants to do that. We gain nothing. We gain nothing by, if there is a loss of life, we gain nothing. People think we are out for money, we make money and all. I mean, I don't understand. The moment I come and I examine you, I get exposed to the virus myself. You forget that. People forget that we are exposing ourselves to the virus through you. We are doing that. So many doctors have succumbed to the virus because they've been seeing patients, they've been looking after patients. So where does the question of money, where does the question of us not doing our job properly come into the picture over here? We are doing our best. We are doing our best. I mean, we can make mistakes, but here, where are the mistakes? I mean, the guidelines are there. We are following the guidelines. And there's only so much that we can do because there's only so much we know about the disease till now. And we certainly don't want to ruin our reputation.
Correct.
It's a hard-earned reputation over a period of many years.
Correct. Correct.
So,
no, absolutely. And I know that, you even became doctors in the first place because that's how deeply you cared about people. That's how deeply you cared about helping people. So to have that thrown around at you, and for folks to express this kind of, behavior is absolutely unacceptable.
yes.
And there are better ways for them to process their grief and their emotions.
Yeah, they can write a complaint. They can complain about us. I mean, we can get dismissed at the drop of a hat by the corporate hospitals.
Right, right.
We can get dismissed like that. So one doesn't need to really resort to violence against doctors.
Right, right.
You make your displeasure known.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, if somebody is really suffering themselves, and let's say they've lost a family member to COVID, they can definitely go and seek help for their mental health. And
they can. Absolutely, they can.
Yeah, and it's not fair to attack the person who has tried everything in their capacity to help you and your family member. I hear you, doctor, and I know that it hasn't been easy at all for the frontline workers, and even now, like I see that there's almost empathy from your end, and there's very little anger, and you're still like pleading with folks to say that follow these rules. These are simple enough. And these are definitely doable, right? Like it's okay. Yeah. We can postpone that plan to Goa for next year. We can the wedding can happen with just the immediate family, and everybody can attend on Zoom. People have been doing that as well. The important thing right now is for us to all, and I read this in an article, doctor, where it was said that in all previous pandemics, it was so difficult for people to stay indoors. It was so difficult for people to like understand what was happening. But here there are doctors who are spreading awareness through social media, which is a very easily accessible medium for so many of us, in multiple languages, like you said. And like we get to stay at home, everything comes home, things can be delivered. All we need to do is stay put, at least those of us who have the privilege to stay put. Just like help the doctors in that way, right? And that doesn't seem too difficult at all.
Yes.
No, yes. Thank you, doctor. Do you have any final message for folks who will be listening to this chat show? You've said some wonderful things throughout our conversation, but if you have anything to say in the end, I think we can end on that note.
Yes. So my final thing to say to the folks out there is, I mean, it's reputation basically, that double mask up, maintain social distance, wash your hands. Things have opened up. We understand that you can't keep shut the whole world forever. The economy can't be closed forever. It has to open up. But you need to do your duty. If there is don't go to crowded places. You need to do certain things. If you need to go to work, you can go to work. You double mask up. Don't remove your mask to eat and drink with other people or to smoke. Go into an open air space and maintain distance, and then you can remove your mask and eat and drink whatever you want to, or for a smoke. You don't need to do it in closed spaces, number one. Number two, I would say avoid closed spaces like malls, avoid indoor restaurants, go to restaurants which have open air, or go to restaurants which are 50% dining, open to 50% dining, or order in. You're still giving business to that restaurant or to those small businesses. You're still giving this. Most places, like you said, do online deliveries. You can do online shopping. So everything is made so easily available to you at your residence, at your home. You don't really need to go unless it's absolutely necessary. The third thing that I would like to tell them is, as the virus spreads, it gets a chance, it replicates. And I tweeted about this today. And as the more it replicates, the more chances it gets to mutate. And as we are seeing with the mutation, every mutant virus is getting to be more dangerous than the previous one. The first one, which came out of Wuhan, was actually mild as compared to the Delta variant. The Alpha variant, more mild as compared to the Delta variant, but more severe produced a more severe illness as compared to the Wuhan variant. And we have a new Delta plus, and I don't know how much the vaccines are going to show efficacy against these newer and newer mutants. So, and we don't have enough vaccinations at present to vaccinate the whole world. So till we don't have enough vaccines to vaccinate the whole world, please, I beg of you, stay put indoors, wear your mask properly. This is not the time to party or time to socialize. You do your essential work, essential shopping. You need to meet people, meet outdoors, maintain the distance, and keep your masks on. That's all I have to say.
No. Thank you, doctor, and thank you for just so much honesty and vulnerability that you brought to this conversation as well. It's indeed refreshing to also see a medical professional say that need your help to fight this virus, right? Need everybody's help for us to tide over this period. Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you for speaking to us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.